Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. It is Monday, November 18th, 2024. We've been talking about Sara for a while. Tropical Storm Sara never reached hurricane status, and now it is really nothing but a low pressure system. This update is being provided for the All Hazards Consortium, the sensitive information sharing environment, so we can share information across private sector organizations and also private sector liaisons that work within state emergency operations centers. Well, I've widened out a little bit here on the GOES satellite sector. This is the GOES East satellite going through some of its motions here over the last couple of hours. And the Gulf of Mexico looks pretty inactive, sort of, right now. I'm going to point some things out with the pointer here. Right down here are the remnants of Sara, of Tropical Storm Sara. The other thing is, we have a pretty strong, intense mid-latitude cyclone that's developed. We talked about that over the last couple of days as well, that was going to develop over Mexico and move very rapidly up, now creating some thunderstorm activity, and it's been very windy through the Midwest in Oklahoma and Texas. These are really screaming winds, some areas gusting to over 50 miles per hour in parts of Oklahoma. But the other thing I want you to notice is generally, this is what we can tell with satellite imagery, and that's why we like to put it into motion at times, where you can see the clouds being drawn up here. They're moving to the north. That's because this big trough of low pressure is sucking up the winds, and it's really coming up from the south very strongly in the Gulf of Mexico. As a matter of fact, I want to show you a couple of things that are very interesting as well, because we can watch the moisture. We can change the satellite channels in this satellite imagery. And I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to show what it looks like from, I'm going to turn off the visible satellite picture and turn on just the moisture. This is the upper level moisture field from the GOES East satellite, and look what it can show. First of all, a lot of dry air. Well, very interesting things happening over Florida and the Bahamas too. I'm going to show you that in just a second, just as a point of interest. But look at this area of moisture. This is all associated with the remnants of tropical depression Sara. Now just a low pressure system, but look, the moisture is being sucked up, and it's going to be building up and building up over Louisiana and southern Mississippi, Alabama, and the Panhandle of Florida over the next day. Meanwhile, as this strong front moves through, it's going to squeeze out the moisture that's being built up over the south. That's starting right now, and it's going to really come to fruition tomorrow afternoon when heavy rain falls, intense rain showers fall that could create localized flooding. And so this is the water vapor imagery at the highest levels here. We can see the high level, mid level, and low levels of the atmosphere. And look at all this streaming in. This area is dry air coming right behind the front. And you can just see it just moving very quickly. This is going to merge with that area of moisture that's coming out of the tropics. And it's a deep layer of moisture too. Let me take this full screen. I'll show you what's going on. Here's Florida, and let me back out just a little bit here so you can see a bigger picture. Lots of swirls going on. This is the awesome thing about weather. As it circles the globe, it gets little vortexes, and these are mid-latitude cyclones. This is the one really wrapping up over Kansas and Oklahoma. That's going to do a beeline straight north to North Dakota, and then another intense low is going to form right over basically Illinois, Indiana, and go up north into parts of New England and off the coast. That's going to bring in some of the coldest air of the season in the mid-Atlantic and the northern part of the country over the next several days into Thursday and Friday of this week. But here's that moisture. That's the moisture from the remnants of Sara being pulled up. And now I want to show you the total precipitable water in the GOES imagery. I'm going to turn off this area, and I'm going to turn on the GOES imagery for the total precipitable water. I'm going to stop it right here. This is basically, we can look at this satellite imagery and say how much moisture is in the atmosphere that could be squeezed out in one column. If you just stood there and took a column of air all the way to the top of the atmosphere, you squeezed all the moisture out, where is it most moist? And these are the areas that is very moist. These are the red areas here, the purple areas. See, you can see almost the spin of the remnants of Sara. But look at this moisture field that's headed right up into Louisiana. That's got a connection all the way into the deep tropics, into the Caribbean. So it's very, very moist. A lot of heavy rain is going to fall in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle right here. Meanwhile, drier air is being advected into West Texas and over the Four Corners and down into Mexico. But this red area, that is all moisture, tropical moisture that's being pulled up. So there's some of the things we can see in satellite imagery. But I want to show you something really pretty cool as well. I'm going to go over to Florida real quick and show you the visible satellite picture. Look at these clouds. It's almost like if you were looking up in the sky and you see these cumulus and stratocumulus clouds that are billowing. This is what's going on in the atmosphere here. Look, here's the Space Coast. This is where they launch the rockets from Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. But look at this. This is low-level dry air moving in and eroding these stratus clouds. That's really quite amazing. These are all stratus clouds, but you can see pockets of dry air that are trying to eat away at the stratus clouds. I'll move up here a little bit further here too. Look at this. This is air that's pouring over these higher clouds, drying out, and you can see it's pushing these clouds out of the way. It's drying out the air close to the surface and eating these clouds, these stratus clouds, away. And it's happening all over Florida right now and over the Bahamas. Isn't that just incredible? Look at that. Just take a pause and just really amazing to watch nature at work. So this is dry air spreading out, and then it's pushing and drying out some of these other clouds, these stratus clouds that are moving towards them. Look at that. And so you get a little bit of clearing, and then these clouds will start to dominate and spread out, and they'll start to evaporate as well. So look, we get these holes in here when those clouds evaporate. Sinking air makes clouds dry out because it warms and dries out. Sinking air dries air out. That's why under high pressure systems, you have a lot of sinking air and clear skies. But isn't this wild? This is happening over Florida, a little bit over the Gulf of Mexico here, just a totally different air mass. But you can see that the winds generally are still coming in from the east into Florida, and that's causing rip current possibilities there as well. But look at that. These are all small cumulus clouds, and then you can see the dry air pushing up, trying to eat away at those stratus clouds that are low clouds as well. Really just incredible from this satellite imagery. Okay, so let me just show you the winds again. I'm going to show you the winds from the standpoint of this wind map, and you can see that air coming up out of the Gulf of Mexico, and it is going to be converging in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama here, and then very strong winds coming right up through central Oklahoma. There could be some tree damage there as well, winds gusting into the 50-mile-per-hour range during the day today, and that's going to continue on up into Kansas and then on into South Dakota and North Dakota as this system rapidly moves up to the north. But that's the moisture fetch. Let me show you the model data as well. I'm going to take that and I'll show you this model data, what it looks like. Here's that intense low pressure system over Kansas right now. And you can see what's going on. There's a lot of shower and even some thunderstorm activity. The moisture field is hanging down through eastern Texas and Oklahoma, so heavy rains there. Even a chance of some rapid spin-ups of some small tornadoes. Doesn't look like a big outbreak, but you could have that in here. And then here's a little bit of the hint to that initial moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, from the remnants of Sara. I'll put this into motion, and you can see this really go on and come up towards the north. Here we go. Look at that. It's entrained some of that moisture. This is by tomorrow afternoon. That moisture has been entrained here, and it's really enhancing. Very intense rainfall. Fortunately, it's not going to last very long, but several hours of intense rain is going to cause some flooding in eastern Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama. Be prepared for that. As a matter of fact, if you can afford to stay home tomorrow afternoon in those areas, I would recommend it because the rain showers are going to be very intense, almost like the windshield wipers won't keep up with it. And then next thing you know, you're driving into a big puddle that could be a ravine or it's not really the road. And then you have some big problems. So watch where that precipitation goes into Wednesday morning. Here we go. It kind of works its way to the south, just off the coast of Florida. But it does look like it'll be a rainy day during the day Wednesday on the west coast of Florida as the remnants of Sara's moisture work itself out and away from the region. But then you can see that intense low has moved up into Canada, southern Canada with snow. But look at this. It's going to kick off another low, and watch how fast this one develops. Look at this. Really over the Great Lakes, and it throws a cold front through on Thursday morning, early on Thursday morning, and then it gets cold. This is cold air that's going to come into the mid-Atlantic. It's going to be winter weather jacket, coat weather, that's for sure. And even some snow popping up. Look at that. In the western part of Maryland, West Virginia, Ohio, there could be some accumulating snow here, probably 4 to 6 inches of snow in the higher elevations happening in western Maryland. That's really exciting as we enter towards the Thanksgiving week. And then look at this, even on into Friday afternoon, this low kind of strengthens in New York, kind of does a dance with a couple of lows around it. But look at this, snow throughout southern New York and parts of Pennsylvania into the mountains there as we head on into the weekend before Thanksgiving. And then that will spin on and get on out of here. Strong northwesterly wind will start to warm up a little bit in the mid-Atlantic, but then things start to quiet down at least a little bit. So that's the tropical update, and also the update for the remnants of Sara, and also a little bit of mid-latitude weather as well. One more stop I want to make is out west, and I want to show you that too from the standpoint of the globe. This is the Earth from the Goes West satellite. Goes West satellite perspective. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit because look at this big low pressure system, and there's a big high in here. Here's Hawaii right here. A lot of dry air around Hawaii. Dry air is coming into Southern California right now, but moisture is working its way into California. What's going to happen here? Well, we're going to have an atmospheric river developing with a low pressure that's going to develop in this area of the Pacific Ocean and start to drive some moisture into Oregon, maybe parts of Washington, but really Oregon and Northern California. This is really spectacular imagery. You just imagine sitting here and watching what goes on. This isn't what the astronauts would see orbiting the Earth because we can take a look at one particular channel to look at the moisture. But it is spectacular where we can see those large low pressure systems spinning around. And also Hawaii has some dry air over it. But let me show you what it looks like from the standpoint of the model data across the west, because we do have an atmospheric river that's developing. I'm going to continue this on. Watch this low pressure system right in here, almost just south of Alaska here in the northeastern Pacific Ocean. This is the Gulf of Alaska, and here actually is the Gulf of Alaska. So this low is going to develop rather rapidly, and watch what happens with it and its moisture field. So here we go. Intense low drops to the south, and look at this area of energy that's going to be pointing right into, rotating right around into the west coast as we advance this. So look at that low. It's a strong low, and here is the atmospheric river right here. So we have potential for some flooding rains coming into the coast of Oregon and also northern California. That's something that is going to bear watching. And that low is going to continue to spin around, and this atmospheric river is going to persist. Now, this is out next week. I'm sorry, not next week, but later on this week, on Thursday, we should start to see that atmospheric river really shaping up. So Wednesday into Thursday, that atmospheric river should be pounding California. Doesn't look like a major one, but in some areas, I think they were talking about a 4 on the scale of atmospheric rivers. And we'll be watching these throughout the winter because that's what dumps a lot of water on the West Coast, a lot of snow. When they come one after another, that's what builds up all the deep snow out west. So that's it. Just wanted to give you a little taste of what was going on there for the atmospheric river that's coming up. And here is the awesome satellite imagery. So I'll just show you that. And then this is the precipitable water. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this update. I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. We will do another update with the flooding during the day tomorrow. In the meantime, we're just going to be monitoring all this moisture and going through the forecast for any big issues impacting any of the transportation activities going on around the country for the All Hazards Consortium and the sensitive information sharing environment. So thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with another update. Please watch out for yourself and also take care of your neighbors.